So let's get started.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
start.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear us well. Um, Good to have you here, and a very, very happy new year. As we said earlier, it's been a quite challenging year, I think, for most of us, also full of surprises, new challenges. Apparently, also a quite sad year, people feeling tears and kind of mourning. We have to let go of things, of habits, of the known. And so it's very important, we think, to meet each other and to have these points in time in which we can contact each other, see each other this way on the Zoom and or live preferably. And yeah, hear each other, help each other through, and hear also the beautiful stories, beautiful things that we can share together. And we ourselves, we have had our ups and downs also, and we noticed that it takes work to stay in the heart field through everything that's happening, and every time again go to that heart field, because we can feel very well that we create a different, immediately a different sphere and field around us when we enter that heart field. And the mind takes us on long rides and roller coasters, but this heart gives this harmony and also a broader vision. It opens up our field. It opened up also the viewpoint we have. And we need that. That's what we feel. We need that to stay in high vibration, to be able to see the bigger picture, and not get lost in our own personal and little story of the moment, although they are there and we carry them as well.
And maybe now you're talking about it, on would we do just a little moment to tune into our heart?
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
just to close our eyes and to get really present for yourself, to be here,
and arrive.
to make yourself comfortable, and know that you don't need to do anything. Nothing needs to be achieved or learned. Just being at peace with yourself. And with everything that's going on in your lives at the moment. Because everything in our lives, all emotions, all thoughts, all happenings can be an entrance to that heart space. So let's visualize a big heart in the middle of our circle, if we can imagine a circle with all of us. And that this is what we tune into during all these meetings on 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, etc. So I'd like you to invite yourself in with everything that is happening. We are broadcasting from the Montsegur, very close to it, and it feels like there's this light beam out of the Pyrenees connecting everyone. Okay. So, welcome again. And yeah, what we would like to do is during these meetings to have a look through a mythological perspective on the things that are happening in the world right now and in the coming months. So and I always feel that works actually only through the heart, as you were saying, on it. When you look through the heart, you see a different world. When you go into the mind, you see lots of duality, stories, pro and contra. It's many. The mind creates a lot of difficulties, actually, especially in times of crisis. So it takes an effort to go back to the heart and to connect over there. So that's what we will try to do in these gatherings. Was there anything else that we?
Yeah, to get this this broader picture.
Yeah.
Of what is happening, and yeah, because when we travel through with a heart as a compass, we see all these kind of synchronicities, and we see a bigger story being revealed through these synchronicities on our way, and the bigger stories tell a kind of tell the story of humanity.
Yeah.
And they help us understand in what phase we are in.
Yeah. And it seems these days that in the normal media, it seems like there's only one narrative at the moment. So I think that's a natural thing in a crisis. Consciousness kind of shrinks and it becomes more narrow. People start to have one big narrative, and you're not supposed to step out of that narrative. But I think it's really important in a culture to have many different viewpoints. And to look underneath to see, okay, what is this all telling us? What's the story beyond or behind the things that we see? So yeah, that's what we would love to do. And also together with you, we will start with a story, and then in the second part we'll have more like a sharing and seeing how we relate to it. But we will give it a start with something, and then we'll see how it develops.
Yeah.
Shall I
yeah, maybe
start
you,
yeah, because there was something that last night, just when the new year was starting, I was seeing a documentary on Tina Turner. Now, I've heard the music of Tina Turner and I've looked at her before, but this documentary was very long, and it made something really clear to me. One thing, I will tell a little bit about what the documentary was about. It was all about her whole life, that she had faced a lot of abuse, sexual abuse, violence from her husband, from Ike Turner. And then she gets these children, she tries to make a family, they become very famous, but underneath there's this trauma happening, this disaster actually in her personal life. And then she finds the Buddhism, and especially the mantra Om Nam Myo. And she starts singing this, and that is changing her life. She tells in this documentary, she says, when I heard that mantra, I started to see that my life had to change. And I had to step away from Ike Turner and to go my own way. And much, much later, she makes this DVD with all these spiritual songs, like Om Nam Myo and a couple of others. And what strikes me so much in the whole story of her is that she, for me, is a typical example of the divine feminine, as I like to call it. That kind of very powerful force um, that expresses itself through music and emotions. But first, it's been suppressed and battered and torn down, and then when it comes to this spiritual part, she rises up and she becomes full in her full bloom. And I thought, wow, that's really a powerful story that she tells about this, um, and that we can see this whole story. And it links it for me to a dream I recently had about Hathor. Um, Hathor is being seen as an Egyptian goddess of the Sinai, of all of Egypt, but in Sinai especially, she's called the Lady of Turquoise. She's very important there. A couple of temples in the Sinai are dedicated to Hathor. And I could imagine that Tina Turner is a sort of modern day Hathor. Um, this kind of energy, this primordial energy, lots of power and enthusiasm, but coming from a very high source. And in a dream, there was a rock singer who was telling the story of Hathor. And he talked about how Hathor was replaced by the priests and by the church, and all the goddesses disappeared. And that it's now the time that the goddess returns. And so that was actually what I was seeing as a first part, like, oh, we need this powerful, enthusiastic energy back in the world
And
to start out with.
yeah, you talked about Tina Turner, whereas in fact we were going to talk about our African adventure, but
Yeah.
it links very much to Africa. She is an African woman, and she's linked to she's linked to that forest that we could feel very much there, and we are very much into Africa actually.
Yeah.
The last few years, feeling that there is this great forest there, and that going to the south, well, we were in fact traveling many years upstream the Nile from Egypt to Nubia to Sudan, Ethiopia, and further to Rwanda. And it was like and together with Marcel and Monique, who are here actually, and others, and it was like that feminine was really opening itself gradually more and more to us, to be discovered. And it's still an adventure to get deeper and deeper into that force, and what she's representing. And when we were going more and more to the south, we discovered that actually we are used to seeing things from the north and seeing the south as something inferior, or north is up and south is down. And we decided to turn it around and to see how high the south can be, and how much we can learn from it, and how much wisdom there is there to discover. Actually, we don't go to Africa to teach anything. We go to learn
receive.
And to receive things.
Yeah, and when we were there, we encountered a tribe called the Twa, and the Twa, they were living in the forests
in Rwanda
with the apes that are living there, gorillas, the chimpanzees. And the way they were dancing, they did a dance for us and a song. And that was so incredibly alive and vital and powerful, that tears were just coming into our eyes. We were so touched by that power. And I think that's the same power that I see in the songs of Tina Turner. It's raw, it's original, it's vital. And I think we kind of need that in this time. Our spirituality tends to go into the mind, into visions, into imagery or visualizations. But somehow I feel we need to bring it more down. We bring it to the earth, that it doesn't float up, but it really comes into our daily reality, and it becomes active. That it is an active spirituality, not only thinking or feeling, but really getting into the act of what needs to be done in this time.
And our way upstream, the Nile is also, in fact, a way, a traveling or a journey towards the source of the Nile. In fact, we were looking for the source where the Nile comes from. That's what made us and in Rwanda. And this is actually also a journey to towards our own source, trying to find out what is it? Is it the God source from above? Because we had these waters coming out from the high mountains.
Yeah.
But for me, I was very much connected to the deep volcanoes inside the earth, because there are 8 volcanoes there in Virunga where we were. And they connected me very much to the core of and the fire and the heat of the earth itself, being a source, a very vital source on itself as well.
Yeah, and funny enough, in the human body, there are 8 cells at the base of our spine, that are the 8 original cells where the whole body is being made of, and that's also down into the base of our buttocks, actually, or lower. I don't know how you call it. So these sacrum, yeah. So these 8 volcanoes represent also the deepest point of our body, which is very also primal. And it reminds me of the energies that we met of, so the Virunga is the last place where the gorillas are living. Maybe you know it from documentaries of Diane Fossey, Gorillas in the Mist, yeah. And we got in touch with the energy of the gorillas and the other apes that are living there. And they also brought us this very basic energy, actually. Like, they reminded us of our instincts, of our animal nature, and also of survival. That if we want to survive, it's not by going up. You see that happening in our culture very much, that we go up into the mind or into technology or into ideas, but we have to go back to nature in a way to feel our own nature, to connect to the earth. We need to know that we are part of the earth, and that we can only survive if we realize that we are not forgetting the source, the origin. And that's actually what the apes told us. Remember your origin. You're coming from us. We've been mixing maybe from other planets, but this is what we are made of.
Yeah. And actually, it feels like, I don't know about you, but this last year, in several journeys we had, we were drawn towards these primordial creative forces like fire and water and ice, and towards the beginnings of Earth also. How the Earth was fire, and then cooling down and becoming rock, and how we are rock, and how these minerals and these crystallized energies are in us, and how, when reconnecting to that crystalline aspect of us and to our bones and the very old information, we reconnect with these real original creational forces. And I'm not saying I understand them, it's just we feel drawn towards them, to try to understand them, to try to feel them deeper in ourselves. Like, how did it all begin? What are we made of? And our stories seem to bring us there this last year. Also in Scotland, these real primordial forces, the 4 elements, were really calling us to feel them in our bodies, to understand them better, and to learn how to create with
Yeah,
them.
yeah. It's funny, we're also here in the Pyrenees, so we feel the energy of the mountains really straight behind us. And the word Pyrenees comes from a mythological story. Pyrene was a woman of fire, or a goddess of fire, and she had to be she had to marry Vulcanus, and she didn't want to, so she changed herself into these mountains. So Pyre means fire. So somehow the fire here changed into stone. And I think that's also these when you talk about primordial energies, these are very tangible here. It's sheer power, the mountains, the stones, the air. It's all very, very strong.
It makes me think, because I see Herma there, and we talked we talk sometimes about the giants, and some say the rocks were the giants of the old stories, and these great forces that turned into stones, into minerals. So yeah, it seems like this is a time to remember these great forces.
Yeah.
And remember how connected we are with them.
And I'm thinking, shall we do a meditation to go down to these primordial forces in ourselves? So we have a kind of a touch base with that. Is that okay, or is that too soon, Shirley? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So that it doesn't become all words and information, but that we take you also inside. So my suggestion is again to close your eyes and sit comfortable. And bring your attention again from outside to inside. And follow your breath down from your mouth to your lungs. And from your lungs down to your belly. And then bring your attention even further down into your hips and your buttocks. To your sacrum. To your genitals. And to the base of the spine. And know that this is the place where everything rests on. All the other chakras, the other energies, they touch base in your hips. And I'd like you to go down even further into the earth. Connect to the place you're sitting on, to the ground beneath you. and even deeper into the earth. And while you are down there, visualize that a being comes towards you. It might be an animal or an ape or another mythological being or an ancient man or woman or a forefather or foremother, an ancestor. The one who came before and who has something for you. Maybe a message or an object. And you receive that object or the message. And you thank your ancestor or your totem animal. And see if there's anything else in that deep subconscious place that attracts your attention. Or that wants to come to the light. And sometimes it's needed that we bring things from deep down to the surface, into our own lives or into our own bodies or into our society, things that have been suppressed of or living in the dark, but parts of us that need to be seen. And slowly come back up. And take with you the imagery or the message or the object. Come back to the place of your hips. And in the end, come back to your heart. And open your eyes again when you're ready.
It's nice to hear so.
And I guess it's nice to hear some stories to see what we all brought up. I feel like we're miners, deep divers, to bring something from the dark space in the earth to bring it up to the surface. So maybe it's nice to hear a few voices. So if you want to share something, unmute yourself and tell us what you brought from the deep.
Mag ik beginnen?
Ja, zeker. Ik weet niet wie het zegt.
Ja, het English. Yes.
Debbie. Welkom, Debbie. Ja.
I saw a kind of een ruit in het Engels. What is that?
A square?
It's not a square, a ruit, like.
Nou ja.
And I was on one side of it, and the other side was a white being, and that was the very first being in my line. And all in between were all my ancestors, but I also saw an aborigine in between. And in between was a little bit in the dark, but the start was the being and across to me was very white and very light. And he said, "It's me. I am you." And that's it. But it feels so powerful.
Wow. Interesting how we are so connected actually to the source, to our ancestors, and we don't recognize it. We don't know it so well. Yeah.
It was very strange to see an aborigine amongst my ancestors.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all stem from the Africans.
I've always felt, I think humans, they started off in Africa.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marijke.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for inviting us. And it was the field of all those people we are together with. It feels very strong, and it was easy to go to sink deeper. and I met Frau Holle from the fairy tale, and she gave me her spindle, and she said, weave your new story and weave the story for the new world to come. And she gave me a broom as well to clean my space and to clean all the mess and to make space for new things that can get born. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Frau Holle in the depth.
Yeah.
Like this idea of weaving, because it's supposed that we all have a thread and we weave together. We are the weavers of the future.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Weavers of the future.
Do it together, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time someone mentions something, it opens up for the collective. So nice. Yeah.
I am Marcel. I'm very happy with this creative power you put in down under, because I think and I feel we really need this in these times. Not only an open heart and consciousness, but real fire, creative fire, to be a creative. And this life force is very fierce, but very needed, I think, to act in a creative way. To act in a creative way to build together a new world. It reminds me of a very old story from Japan, where the goddess Amaterasu hid herself in a big cave, and every person could not get her out, even the most wise man. But then there came a belly dancer with singing and music, and then the sun came back. So the life force in Japan in this old story came back because of this creative music, dancing power. I think it's very needed now to be creative and act. In my meditation was a big wolf, and this wolf gave me fire. And he said, but use the fire wisely, because it can be very explosive. At first I thought it was dynamite he gave me, but it was a box of matches.
Oh,
Me too.
really?
Yeah.
Sacred matches to use my fire.
Amazing. And so beautiful to see the fire behind you.
Yeah, it's my backbone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ja, horen jullie mij?
Ja, B.
B.
Oh ja,
Yeah.
sorry Irma.
Ja, ik zit een beetje wat verder zo. Well, the fire that it was not in this meditation, but yesterday evening we made a fire going over the year, me and my son. And it was very strong that also I had to put my hands to the fire to just really feel that we need it now. Like you talked about the rawness, that it's like really we have also not only to be connected spiritually like here, but also this heart, this fire, this fierceness of what we also as women and also as men can have. But the meditation was totally different. It was about going under here. It's built on rocks, and there was like these water aders. I don't know what it is in English, like water veins, you could say. And then I saw like this was this misty figure, not very clear, but I waited and I just waited, not asking anything. And then suddenly it was as if it changed my eyes, like my vision, my head became an eagle head. Like I could, it was like the message was, and that's coming back in my life all the time. that I have to look like an eagle, to watch, to be really sharp, to just observe and see things that maybe other people don't notice. So these things, and I recognized it again. I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. And then there was suddenly this sharp line, like a knife that stood like this. And maybe it also had to do with that we are on the edge, and that we have to notice and to realize that we are on a very sharp edge. And then there was like millions, trillions of amethyst little twinkling stars under here. And that was like really beautiful. So yeah, it's these amethyst little crystals that were just everywhere. It's really beautiful. So thank you also for inviting us. And Mareke, I'm also happy that you are here. We know each other, so long time no see, but okay. Big hug. Thank you.
Thank you, Bee.
Yeah. And Herma, you also wanted to share?
Yes, thank you. I was sinking into the earth, and at a certain point there was a field of, how you call it, moss? Is it in English the same word? Moss?
I don't know.
I think so. It's
yeah.
green. It's green on the earth. So
yeah.
It was a field of moss and unrolling. And I was surprised because I was waiting for an animal. So, but okay, I was at that moment, I think there's no animal, but I was zooming in and I saw all kind of codes coming from the moss. And I was asking, what kind of codes are you? And they told, we are the codes of the earth, of the beginning of the earth until now. And we can release the codes into from now on. We give them free for everyone, so everyone can connect with their codes of existence. And when you ask, or you suggest from go into the dark, maybe something is waiting for you, I was attracted to a certain point in the dark left from my side, and I was my left hand was going into the dark, and I felt something, and I put my right hand to it also, and then I had an on my hands there was a light elf fairy. And I'm very used to giants, and dragons, but this one light elf, I was so surprised because I was expecting something from the dark, can't be light. Mm-hmm. So that's my mind. It was also, no, it can't be, but the elf, it was so light, and oh, I'm so happy. So I can't express, but I hope you can feel, or you can see what I saw and feel now. It was and is great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now I have both. Yeah, okay. I can't express. Thank you.
Herma, when I hear you, I always think of the deep joy that is beneath in the earth. When we were in Sudan, we were attracted to go to Sudan, and well, it's not the most joyful country you can imagine. It's really hard life there. And still, when we were there, underneath the soil, I could feel this deep crone of Dongola we met.
Mm-hmm.
This old African lady in the energies, we met her, and she brought such a joy from beneath the earth, like she was the big mama saying, let's dance. It's even if there is a lot of pain in their actual life, there is this enormous life force to survive, to continue on dancing. And this is so African. Well, maybe we make it a bit archetypal, but it's so, you can feel it there. There is this enormous life force, and we have forgotten about this. So it was a pleasure to encounter that in this country. Yeah. So you make me think of it when you yeah.
And it brings me actually to one of the reasons that we do these Zooms, is we want to build a story towards 11/11, November 11th coming year, when there will be a climate conference in Sharm el-Sheikh in the south point of Sinai. And of course, there will be the scientists and the politicians and the activists and the lobbyists. They will all get together to think and to get solutions. But I feel we need this primal energy, this joy, this power, this fire of underground to connect and to bring that as a life force. Because I think we won't solve all the climate problems with our mind. We need the heart, and we need the hips, and we need the earth with it as well. So somehow we want to build up towards these 11 months and bring all these forces together and see how we can go there and create a huge dance or an artwork, or like Marcel was saying, the person in front of the cave that starts dancing and doing crazy stuff, to invite the light to come out. So it's one of the reasons why we do this. We want to build this story, but we want to weave it together with you. It's not a fixed idea. We just know we want to go to the Sinai at some point, because I see this whole Sinai desert as a sort of altar for the goddess. And maybe the god.
Because Sinai is Sin.
Yeah.
Is the name of the moon god.
Yeah. It comes from an Arab moon god called Sin, indeed, which is funny because it reminds us, of course, of the word sin, the English word sin, as sinners. I don't think it's related to that, but it makes it kind of funny in the light of what we're talking about. It's like, it's not only pure and divine, but it also
there's a little devilish.
Fun.
The fire element.
Yeah.
Maybe you can invite Tina Turner.
Wow.
We'll try.
We'll try for sure. Actually, it's so funny. We have tomorrow morning a Zoom with young Israeli people, and they want to organize in the Sinai a big sort of Burning Man festival. Create crazy, beautiful stuff in the desert. And I think
they invited us.
Yeah, they invited us to be there. But I think they're on the same track. Yeah.
Trying to, that's the young generations, and then it's the question what we can represent there.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have my traveling down under was I was a lion. There was a lion says follow me in the woods in Africa, and that's where I start to go down my prana and down my Kundalini into the earth, and there grandfather and grandfather of my family, very old, thousands of hundreds, thousands of years ago, waited for me. Lion came, and they hold up a bowl. I thought first was a crystal bowl, but there was life in it. It was sort of like an egg with something new, a world egg. And I said, okay, thank you. Yeah, that's our present. Take it up and discover its powers. And the cakes, and I looked a little bit asky, but he said, it's a secret, discover it. But bring it up.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we will be delving up things we don't necessarily understand or can use immediately. It's such a big thing. When we went into Rwanda, I received the information that I had to feel into many different animals before I could understand the region and plants and all the different energies that compose this whole area, and how they all can hold the energy grid of that place. So it's through different animals and different energies, and we have to get to know them. It's not easy. We don't know these real primordial forces so much. So yeah, we can delve things up that we don't necessarily understand. Yeah. It also makes me think of we had one constellation once about the Earth, and it was about the center of the Earth, about the crystal.
Yeah.
And the crystal was in the center of the constellation, and we all were part of the Earth. But then the crystal was taken away, and instead of the crystal were the 100 richest people on Earth as the center of the constellation. You remember, Maria? I see you nodding. And it was a whole story of fire and anger and everything, that the anger coming out, that there was no crystal center anymore to lead us. And so the basic, the computer of the Earth, knowing what the Earth was made for, the project Earth was leading us to, was gone and replaced by the 100 richest people on Earth. And we were completely lost in the constellation. A lot of fire came out, anger and fire. But the beauty of it, and what I want to come to, is that in the end, we used that fire to take up our sword and say, I know why I'm here and I'm gonna do it. So that was the energy of the fire was taken to really enforce our own life goal, our own mission on Earth. And we remembered, because of this fire, why we were here.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the things we feel this year is a year in which we really will have to take up that sword and that inner fire and say, I'm going to do it. What I came here for, I will stand for it. That's an important aspect also of it. Huh?
Yeah. And we thought actually to go for a last and a third meditation about our intention for this year. So what is it that we want to put forth into the world?
Or what we feel.
Or what we feel, yeah, what is our mission at this moment? And I think it's always handy to have it clear from the beginning, or to get more clarity about it, so you know what your aim is. And when the aim is clear, you can always zigzag a little bit, but you are steadily going towards that point on the horizon. And we thought of using a little bit of music from Tina Turner, from her mantra that changed her life. and just to listen to it and to think about your intentions for the coming year. Yeah. So again, close your eyes for a moment and just be comfortable. We will put up the music. And so just take a while.
the coming times will be about saying yes. Yes to your own commitment, each and every one of us. It is about realizing serious things are at stake here. It is about not giving priority to small, unimportant things anymore, but focusing on the job. Focusing on what really needs to be done now. That is the awareness that is needed for the times to come. Everyone should be awake. Being awake is not about knowing this story or that. It's not about knowing more than others, about world powers or whatever. Being awake means you are so in touch with yourself that you cannot otherwise than play the role you are supposed to play. Not speak about it, but do it. More so, be it. Do and be what you feel you have to do or be to get this world in a new phase. That is what really is at stake. That everyone sinks into his or her own role. So ask yourself that question. What is your role to play? And how can you get closer to that? First, you need a real commitment, an awareness of the fact that this is needed. A primal resonance that tells you that the time is now and that your part is important. Without judging yourself or stressing yourself, but acknowledging it. The 1111 vibration is about saying, yes, I will. Yes, I do. It is meeting your new role. It is marrying your own commitment. It is anchoring the sword inside your body. It is fully incarnating. It is about really feeling the ardor of your heart, your love for the world and for humanity, and feeling each other's commitment, feeling the brother and sisterhood, feeling the joy of that connection, and having everyone express a full yes, I'm in. This year I will do what my heart tells me to do.
Okay, so slowly come back from the meditation and maybe have a very clear intention for the coming year, or maybe not yet. Maybe it's still vague or more of a feeling. But it doesn't matter. That's why we focus on it, to get it more clear each day. I think it would be nice to hear a couple of intentions for the coming year. So if you feel like sharing it, we would love to hear about it. Yeah. Samrita, go ahead.
Hello,
Tell
Ton
us.
and Anne. Wonderful to see you. And I apologize, I haven't been more involved in recent months. It's been a crazy time on this side of the pond, and I've been going in and out of the underworld, but I feel ready for 2022. And I loved what you were saying right before the meditation about, this is really about a year of remembering who we are. In America over here, the vaccine and the mandatory mandates have been really, really top of mind all of 2021. And I realized that I never cared enough to really fully activate myself until recently in my home state of New York. They decided to make it mandatory for little children. And I have a 6-year-old nephew. And this was the initiatory moment that really I feel that the Divine Mother was waiting for me for, because that in that moment, like the wisdom of my womb was activated. And I just felt like a lioness whose cubs were being threatened. And I just felt this power rising up within my spirit. And I was like, they have now tapped into an ancient primordial energy, which is the wrath of the feminine when you attack innocence. And for me, that is my intention going into 2022. In the past, I've been too afraid to use my voice. I think about what are my natural talents in this life. I'm a really good speaker, but I have always been too afraid to use my voice in the last 2 years because I was afraid of being ostracized by my community. I was afraid of what people would say on social media. I was afraid of a lot of things. I was too afraid to use my voice. But when they came after the children, I just saw a new version of myself where during this meditation, something recurring has been coming up. I saw myself standing in a great stone hall in front of an incarnation of the actual goddess, like the prime creator in her feminine form, who is massive. And I was like looking up at her and I said, I'm ready. Whatever it is you need me to do, this is the moment I came here for. Everything I complained about in the last year, I no longer care about it. I just want to do my work. And I feel that this meditation and this music was really reviving that energy in me just to say, this is the time. This is the war that we all came here for. And, there's been an opportunity to perhaps be like, oh yeah, I'm annoyed, but I'm just going to carry on with my life. That moment is now over. So thank you for this moment. It is an honor to meet all of you here on this call. And I look forward to continuing to be part of the community. Thank you.
Wow. It's so good to hear your voice again, Samrita. Clear and powerful.
Yeah. Exactly.
Amazing. We met Samrita here in Montségur in the Pyrenees, and we pick it up again from here.
That's right.
Yeah, fantastic.
Wow, you speak for many, I think. Aho.
Thank you. Anybody else who wants to proclaim?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I like to talk to the people.
Johan, your sound goes off sometimes.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'd like to tell about my meditation. I saw a wolf.
Again. Can't hear you.
Yeah. We hear a little sentence and then it stops. We heard about the wolf.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, it's
no.
Can't
hear.
Okay.
Maybe you can write it in the chat.
Okay, I will do.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Aho, Johan.
Oh. It's about finding your voice, probably.
For many of us.
I think it's, yeah, for all of us probably, to find our voice and to speak out our truth and to really go for it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's such a common theme. And there's no outer authorities anymore, or outer securities that can comfort us and say, oh, it's okay, you just go on doing whatever you did. That's not the time anymore. It really asks for active commitments. Yeah. So anybody else who would love to?
Yes, I
Marja.
raised my hand.
Yeah, Marja.
Hi,
Yeah.
thank you for being here. Okay, for me it's exciting to speak my voice, but I will anyway. I had a meditation yesterday, and I saw at once I saw the complete picture. I saw the grid around the earth, the black grid, the dark grid, like the connection in your brain, all those wires. But in between this dark web, I saw a white web going in the same construction, but completely separate from the dark web. But it was going through each other. It was woven through each other. But it was a complete different network, and it was like it's difficult now to find my way. It's like I feel I know what I have to do, but I don't know exactly what yet. It has to do something with light and dark. But the image was that there was where there was this wide network which is already existing there, and where I was invited to step in there and to follow that lines. It's some way, in a way, the wide world, the new world is already there, but we have to find a way to get there. It was such a beautiful picture in my head, and I was really happy. I felt alive, and I said yes. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, to leave it open, what's coming.
Yeah.
Get attached, but I know I have time. Fortunately I have some time to spend, to go inside and to take my time and not to rush. So it was the best start ever in a year for me.
Beautiful.
So beautiful to see, even if it's not clear, or the joy on your face shows that you have touched something. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I always feel there are these two movements. Like one movement is receiving and going with the flow and just waiting and kind of seeing what comes to you. And the other, the more masculine energy, is to focus and to say, this is what I'm gonna do. This is my step forward. But you can only do that when you have a real clear message from the inner world. That's what I feel like. If there's no clear goal or mission, it's difficult to act. So the clearer it gets, the better you can move forward and say, okay, this is what I need to do. And you need both somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I remember a channeling of yours in which it says just pinpoint it, and then there are 2 points, you and the future.
Yeah.
And then they're coming towards each other through synchronicities.
Yeah, you kind of it's like with when you take a fish from the water, you
go and get it.
You go and get the future you pull it towards you, actually. Yeah. Yeah. And okay, we have the message of Johan in the meantime. I can see he wrote the text. Would you like to read it?
Yeah.
Because you can see it better than me.
Okay, for Johan. I saw a wolf who was inviting me to follow him, for his message is that I must more follow my heart and not my mind. The wolf finds its way without thinking. In our world, there is such a polarization caused by the war of the minds. If we were aware of that and go more into silence, we can hear the voice of our hearts. If we want to create a new world, we must get disconnected from our old patterns to create new patterns. The inner world of our heart connections will show us the right solutions.
Wow. Beautiful, Johan. Yeah.
Wise wolf.
I think that too. We lately we had a channeling about technology, and there's a difference between technology coming from the mind and technology coming from the heart. And the channeling said you need the technology from the heart, because the mind will bring you further into problems. So this is beautiful what you say, Johan. This is really the core of it. And that's also what we want to bring to the Sinai on November 11th, to bring this heart energy there. Wow. Anybody else before we close down? Yeah.
Yes.
Monique.
For me, it's both sides. In the dark night of the soul, I figured out a lot in my mind to pray, to read, to intellectualize, or how do you call it? But first, when I was in my dance world, I did it all from my belly, and it was exploring, and it was passion, and it was very direct energy. And then I became still, and it became very not kicking alive anymore. And now I explore from both sides. Maybe it's the north, maybe it's from the deep, deep, deep down from Africa. I make a connection in a new part of me to open my, and I can feel my belly more and more connecting with the heart. And I can feel my mind is jumping into my heart. And more and more, I love to explore with people and to do things and to go rough on the to make fault. How do you call it? Faults, fouten?
Yeah, errors.
Make mistakes.
Yes. Yeah, make a lot of mistakes, but also the laughing and the expression. It's go, go, go. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Nice, nice.
I think that's maybe a good ending of our meeting here. Go, go, go. And
yeah, it makes me also think of what Africa told us: receive us. We have a gift to give.
Yeah.
Please receive us. It would be the greatest joy if you listen to us and receive our gift. And I think that's that force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, we put the link of the mantra of Tina Turner. It's in the chat. So if you want to listen to it, it's on YouTube. It's a 2-hour mantra. So you can really go into it for the whole evening. Also, the documentary about Tina Turner is on NPO Start, which is a Dutch thing. And it's also a very long documentary. I think it's 2.5 hours about all her music, her life and life story. And is there anything else?
Well, when you talk about her, we were going to talk about myths and the mythological part.
Yeah.
And if you see such a woman, you can see how our own lives are mythological. We all follow patterns, and yeah, like she's also an archetype, and it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, definitely.
How we do that, how we create our own stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a last practical thing. We decided to do this for free. We'd love it to do it for free because we think that's a really nice way to offer what we know. But if you would be willing to give a donation, we would be very happy, because that's how we live. That's how we do our work, by donations. So I just want to mention it. I feel free about it. It's. I think that is something that we discovered over the years, which I call the economy of free giving, free receiving. And if you do it right, it's just the right amount. It's just what feels good.
Anytime.
That is what works. That is hard money. So.
And we would also like to say that there are channelings on Virunga. If you want to read more about it, there is also a magazine with our both stories on the Virunga journey. So if you what you felt with the apes, and there's so much information in these magazines, you can download them for free or donation, whatever feels right for you. On the TON's website, you can find the channelings and you can find the magazines.
Yeah, and they're only the magazines are only in Dutch at the moment.
That's
channelings
true.
are mostly in English.
Yeah.
And then we will have the next Zoom on February 2nd, 2022. Lots of twos. So you're very much invited to join in as well, in a month and a day.
Yeah.
And then we go for the next round.
We don't know what it will be yet. We just follow the energies and we'll see which stories and countries go with it. And very, very happy to hear how your own involvement is and what you feel the energies are, because we make it together.
Yeah, so happy New Year.
Yeah.
And you're very welcome to stay here a little bit more to chat.
We stay open.
We stopped the recording, but we can just stay here and
continue.